So our main problem is that we either cling into the past or we keep predicting the future, but we never change our present. That's where the most of the problem lies. What can I control? Can I control my past? No, because it already happened. And what is life without problems? Nothing. It's a straight graph. Hello. So let's continue this series in which we are reading this book, which is The Courage to Be Disliked. In the previous video, we read one or two chapters, including the introduction, and now let's continue with the next one, which is Trauma Does Not Exist. So here the guy is continuing his conversation with the philosopher, and he's gonna ask him questions. So he's asking, if you're going to state things so forcibly, I'd like a thorough explanation. To begin with, what is the difference you referred to between etiology and teleology? So remember, we were discussing about teleology and etiology in our previous video. So let's continue from there, and he's asking the difference between etiology and teleology. So suppose you have got a cold with a high fever and you go to see the doctor. Then suppose the doctor says the reason for your sickness is that yesterday when you went out you weren't dressed properly and that's why you caught a cold. Now would you be satisfied with that? So youth is like, of course I wouldn't. It wouldn't matter to me what the reason was, the way I was dressed or because it was raining or whatever. It's the symptoms. The fact that I'm suffering with a high fever now, that would matter to me. If he's a doctor, I'd need him to treat me by prescribing medicine, giving shots, or taking whatever specialized measures are necessary. Yet, those who take an etiological stance, who try to find the cause, including most counselors and psychiatrists, would argue that what you were suffering from stemmed from such and such cause in the past, and would then end up just consoling you by saying, so you see, it's not your fault. The argument concerning so called traumas is typical of etiology. So he is calling the traumas so called here because, according to him, trauma does not exist. So he is calling it so called. So here he is explaining. He's saying, would you rather be concerned about why or how you caught cold, or would you think about other things, how it or would you be caring about your present scenario? Here is what he's trying to say. He's saying, would you be concerned whether it was raining that day, or whether you were not dressed well, or whether something else happened, or would you be concerned about your present scenario, which is you want the doctor to treat you, is what you more care about, right? You don't care about what happened previously. We'll talk about this the past, how it is related. So he's saying, yet those who take an etiological stance, including most counselors and psychiatrists, would argue that what you were suffering from stemmed from such and such cause in the past, and would then end up just consoling you by saying, so you see, it's not your fault. The argument concerning so-called traumas is typical of etiology. We did read this part, right? I just repeated it. It's okay. It will harden your base. So he's saying, wait a minute, are you denying the existence of trauma altogether? He's saying, yes, I am, adamantly. So he's like, what? Aren't you, or I guess I should say Adler, an authority on psychology? In Adlerian psychology, trauma is definitely denied. This was a very new and revolutionary point. Certainly, the Freudian view of trauma is fascinating. Freud's idea is that a person's psychic wounds cause his or her present unhappiness. When you treat a person's life as a vast narrative, there is an easily understandable causality and sense of dramatic development that creates strong impressions and is extremely attractive. But Adler, in denial of the trauma argument, states the following: no experience is in itself a cause of our success or failure. Whatever experience you had in your past, they don't determine your success or failure. Okay, what steps you took after you experienced such things matters. It will determine your success or failure. Problems might arise in your life, but the steps that you took when that problem arose is what will determine your success or failure. We do not suffer from the shock of our experiences, the so-called trauma. but instead we make out of them whatever suits our purposes. We are not determined by our experiences, but the meaning we give them is self determining. See, on one hand, a person facing with some issue in their life might be all sad, not thinking about anything, might just give up and saying that no, I don't want to fight with the scenarios that are happening in my life, or I don't want to take responsibility of whatever's happening in my life right now, is one person. And another person who is doing some effort to improve that situation, to improve in that situation. So let's say there's something happened in your organization and you had to leave the job, and after that you were trying to get another job, but whatever you are doing is not helping you to get a job. Okay, so one person might just be sad about it and may not do anything to improve that situation. The other person who can squeeze something positive out of it, who can do some positive action out of it, would take some actions that would improve his current situation. How? Maybe he'll spend some time in improving his own skills, maybe he will do some self improvement, so that there'll be some hope that in order, when he'll do such things, when he'll spend some time on himself, in his self improvement, in his self growth or other things, his current scenario might be improved. I hope I'm making sense of what I'm saying, right? So we make of them whatever suits our purposes. Philosopher is saying exactly. Focus on the point Adler is making here when he refers to the self being determined not by our experiences themselves, but by the meaning we give them. He is not saying that the experience of a horrible calamity or abuse during childhood or other such incidents have no influence on forming a personality. Their influences are strong. Obviously, even I got sad. Even I had to face a lot of challenges, including financial challenges. But that did not stop me. It had influence on me. It had a toll on my mental health. It had a toll on my physical health. My financials were bound, so I couldn't eat as much as I wanted to eat. Just picking up one example. Other things also happened, but then that didn't stop me. I upskilled myself. I still do exercises. I still do a lot of effort. So I am not being bound by the trauma or whatever happened with me in the past. What I'm doing is I am taking some steps, some positive steps that will help me improve my current situation, and that's what matters. Like if you can deal with your current situation, that's all that matters here. Nothing else matters. But the important thing is that nothing is actually determined by those influences. We determine our own lives according to the meaning we give to those past experiences. Your life is not something that someone gives you, but something you choose yourself, and you are the one who decides how you live. Yeah. If on one hand, if I had spent all my time crying about it, nothing would have changed. I wouldn't even have improved that I've improved in in this past 3 4 years. But why did I improve? Because I did not cling on to the fact that uh, something bad happened with me, and I just did not keep cribbing about it. Instead, what I did is I spent some time in self improvement. I spent some time on my own, and that helped me to come out of that thing. And when I was doing that self improvement, self growth, physical healing, so when I did those things, I automatically came out of the trauma that happened. So trauma exists because of what we make of our present past experiences. Okay, so you are saying that my friend has shut himself in his room because he actually chooses to live this way? This is serious. Believe me, it is not what he wants. If anything, it's something he was forced to choose because of circumstances. He had no choice other than to become who he is now. No, even supposing that your friend actually thinks I can't fit into society because I was abused by my parents, it's still because it is his goal to think that way. Exactly. See, he's saying, what sort of goal is that? He's again super confused here. It's like the immediate thing would probably be the goal of not going out. He's creating anxiety and fear as his reasons to stay inside. So, are you looking at these things? What the person is clinging on to? The person is focusing on his anxiety and his fears, his inexperiences, his issues that happened in the life. So he is just you know focusing on the problems. He is not trying to find solution out of it. That's why when he is just focusing on the problem, anxiety is taking birth on its own, because he is living in the fear of what happened. So, but why doesn't he go out? That's where the problem resides. Well, think of it from the parent's view. How would you feel if your child were shut up in a room? I would be worried, of course. I'd want to help him return to society. I'd want him to be well. I'd wonder if I'd raised him improperly. I'm sure I would be seriously concerned and try in every way imaginable to help him back to a normal existence. Now again he is saying that is where the problem is. He's like, where? If I stay in my room all the time without ever going out, my parents will worry. I can get all of my parents' attention focused on me. They'll be extremely careful around me and always handle me with kid gloves. On the other hand, if I take even one step out of the house, I'll just become part of a faceless mass who no one pays attention to. I'll be surrounded by people I don't know, just end up average or less than average, and no one will take special care of me any longer. Such stories about reclusive people are not uncommon. So he's saying, in that case, following your line of reasoning, my friend has accomplished his goal and is satisfied with his current situation. So now he's confused. He's saying, instead of all these things, if he had shut up in himself in his room, his parents would have given him more attention. He is what he's saying. And on the other hand, he's saying, if he had gone out, that his friend if his friend would have gone out of the house, he would become part of a faceless mass. So here he got confused. He's saying, if the way you are reasoning right now, his friend is accomplished his goal and he's satisfied with his current situation. So like he is saying, maybe my friend is fine being in the house, confining himself in the house. But there's a difference. What's the difference is, he's saying, I doubt he's satisfied. That's where uh, everything changes. He's saying, I doubt he's satisfied, and I'm sure he's not happy either. So something happened. His parents were not good, or some other trauma his friend might have faced. Because of that, he's confining himself in the room. Okay, on one hand he's saying that at least his parents are focusing on him, giving attention to him, so he's saying that that is good, the philosopher is saying. On the other hand, he's also mentioning that if he went outside, he would just become part of a faceless mass. So he's justifying that his friend staying in the home is fine. But where's the difference? Where is the difference lying? The difference is in this line. He's saying that he is not satisfied. He's saying, I doubt he's satisfied, and I'm sure he's not happy either. That's where the difference lies. So he's saying, but there is no doubt that he is also taking action in line with his goal. This is not something that is unique to your friend. Every one of us is living in line with some goal. That is what teleology tells us. No way, I reject that as completely unacceptable. Look, my friend is blah blah blah. Philosopher is like, listen, this discussion won't go anywhere if we just keep talking about your friend. It will turn into a trial in absentia, and that would be hopeless. Let's use another example. Well, how about this one? It's my own story about something I experienced yesterday. So philosopher is like, oh, I'm all ears. Okay, so the next chapter came, which is people fabricate anger, where he will explain his own story to understand about these things that we spoke about in this chapter, which is trauma does not exist. I'm gonna end it here, and the reason is that I want to take it slow, so I'll end it here. If you reached till this far, give it a like or a comment. How is the chapter, how you liked it, how you liked my reasoning on top of that, and we'll keep on talking about it. So here the main point was that trauma does not exist according to the philosopher, and he is reasoning with him on the same thing, and we are going to continue on this in the next chapter. So here the philosopher is again emphasizing on the fact that problems does not matter, but what matters is what meaning we give it to them. So whether we learn something good out of it, whether we learn something bad out of it, or whether we stay positive even in negative scenarios, whether we learn something new, or we just keep focusing on what gave us that trauma in the first place. So, if you just keep focusing on what happened in the past and keep cribbing about the problems that you faced in the past, you will never be able to get some solution. On top of that, what will be born out of it? That would be dissatisfaction and unhappiness. But if you want to come out of it, you would rather focus on things that matter for you, which is your present. And in your present, how can you change it? By being positive and doing something good, doing something that's valuable, that might change something in your present. Instead of focusing on what happened in your past, do something in the present so that your future at least could be better. So our main problem is that we either cling into the past or we keep predicting the future, but we never change our present. That's where the most of the problem lies. What we do is we keep thinking about the problems that happened in the past, and because of that we ruin our present. And when we are ruining our present, what do we make out of it? Right, the future is what we make of it in the present. That's how it is. So we are just ruining our future. So in my scenario that I was discussing, if I hadn't upskilled myself, if I hadn't worked on my mental health, if I hadn't worked on my physical health, I would have stayed the same way, in the same trauma that I got, leaving the job or whatever happened. But instead of being stuck there, I started taking some actions that helped me to come out of it, and my trauma went away. At least that trauma doesn't hold me back anymore now. I keep on doing something. I make videos, I do other stuff, I play games that it helps me to improve my reflexes, or I do physical exercises, or I do mental exercises, I do yoga, meditation. I do so many stuff that helps me, that has helped me to improve my present. What I can think of it in this way: what can I control? Can I control my past? No, because it already happened. Can I control my future? Yes. How? By controlling your present actions. But would I be able to control my present actions if I was stuck in the dissatisfaction and unhappiness that I got from my past? No. If you want to make peace out of it, how would you do it? You would focus on doing something, focus on efforts that might change your present. At least in your current actions, you will take actions that will help you build this very moment that you are living in, and based on that your future will automatically be formed in that way. That's where the difference is. That's where the most people fall down. What they do is they just focus on the past and the problems that arose with it, and because of that the insecurity um, is risen, and because of that insecurity we are not able to take actions in the present, the actions that might change things for us, and because of that our future is being ruined. And that's how we are stuck in the cycle. So if you want to make peace, if you want to stay happy, if you want to get rid of that dissatisfaction, stop living in the past. You might not be able to get rid of all the thoughts, might not be able to get rid of all the issues that happened with you in the past, but then accept them and move on. It's fine, it happens with everybody. You are not the first one, you are not going to be the last one in this world who is having problems. Everybody has problems. Everybody XYZ person in their life faces some or the other problem in their life throughout their entire life. And what is life without problems? Nothing. It's a straight graph, inclined one. And with problems, it is a roller coaster. That's what everybody likes, the roller coaster, right? So that's how the life is. When we go through ups and downs, when we go through all these things, then only we are like, then only some actual character is born out of us. When we face our problems, when we face our issues, and we still choose to stand up every day, no matter what happens, we don't want to give up, is when things start changing, is when you start getting satisfaction, is when you start saying happy. When you are in this zone, trauma will not be able to exist. But if you are in that zone, in whatever happened in your past, you are stuck in that issue. So in order to come out of it, do something in your present. Make sure your actions are aligned with your goals. If you want to make a goal, if you, in my case, I don't have a goal. I don't think about future, but what I think about is, I think about my present actions. I want to stay happy. This is my biggest goal. So for that, what I'll do, I'll make sure I do things that make me happy. That's how I'm happy. I mean, I want to live in peace. How will I live in peace? When I make sure I'm staying happy in my current time, in this very moment. That's what matters. In the next video, we will go with this people fabricate anger, where youth is going to explain his own situation, whatever happened. We'll continue with this. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and we will keep talking about it, and we'll keep discussing about this book. This is a very interesting book, The Courage to be Disliked. So we'll keep reading this until the end. Bear with me. See you soon.